Stop for a second and ask yourself this. Why is it that the men who seem to care the least about what a woman thinks of them are often the ones who get the most attention, respect, and even admiration from women? It's not a coincidence. It's not arrogance. It's self-worth. You see, the kind of man women respect the most isn't the one constantly trying to win her over. It's the man who already sees himself as valuable with or without her validation. He doesn't need her to tell him he's enough. He walks like he knows it. He speaks like he knows it, and his actions always back it up. When a man places himself above the need to please or impress, he becomes a mirror. He reflects strength, certainty, and confidence, qualities that women are wired to respect. It's not about being rude or dismissive. It's about knowing you don't have to earn her validation, because you're not operating from lack, you're operating from overflow. A lot of guys make the mistake of overgiving. They're available too much, texting constantly, complimenting nonstop, trying to convince her they're good enough. But here's the truth. Respect dies the moment desperation shows up. A man who overextends himself to win her over ends up looking like he has nothing else going on in his life. Women feel that energy, and it repels them. Now imagine a man who doesn't chase, but chooses. He chooses how he invests his time. He chooses who earns his energy. He doesn't need to tell a woman he's valuable. She feels it. That's magnetic. That's the kind of presence that makes her stop scrolling, pause in conversation, and look at you differently. He doesn't argue to prove a point. He doesn't panic when she pulls away. He doesn't compete for her love. Why? Because he's already complete. Respect starts with the way you see yourself. When you no longer seek approval, you shift the power. And when she senses that, you don't even have to demand her respect. She gives it willingly. This kind of man doesn't chase women because he knows women naturally move toward what's rare. Let me tell you something that might sting a little, but it will change everything for you. The moment you let a woman cross your boundaries without consequences, she stops respecting you. See, too many men think that if they just explain themselves, stay calm, be patient, or understand her behavior, she'll eventually come around. But women don't respect long explanations. They respect actions, and more than anything, they respect silence, when it comes with firm, invisible boundaries. A man with self-respect doesn't raise his voice to defend himself. He doesn't send long texts begging to be understood. He doesn't try to fix a situation where his energy is being disrespected. Instead, he withdraws, quietly, without drama. And that silence, it's louder than any argument. Because when a woman pushes to see how far she can go, and you don't push back, she learns something. You're not solid. You don't protect your standards. You don't value your peace enough, and that softens her attraction fast. But the man who sets quiet boundaries is different. He doesn't threaten to walk away, he simply does. He doesn't announce, "You crossed the line." He shows her the line by removing access, not to punish her, but because he doesn't tolerate chaos. He protects his energy like it's sacred, and to women, that's powerful. Why? Because a man who holds boundaries without needing to shout about them proves one thing. He's not afraid of losing her. And that's the deepest flex. It shows he's already fulfilled, that he values his peace more than her presence. And women instinctively respect a man like that. So the next time she tests you, maybe through disrespect, manipulation, pulling away, or emotional games, don't explain, don't react. Just act. Take a step back. Reclaim your silence. Let your absence say what your words don't have to. She may not show it on the surface, but inside she feels the shift, she feels the void, and that's when respect begins to grow again, because you've reminded her that your time, attention, and love are earned, not given freely to someone who doesn't honor them. Never forget this. The man who silently enforces his boundaries will always stand out because his energy tells the world, "I'm not afraid to lose anything that disrespects me." Let me ask you something that might hit deep. What happens to your energy when she pulls back? Do you panic? Do you chase? Do you try to fix what's not even broken? Women are emotional creatures, yes, but they're drawn to men who aren't ruled by emotion. That's not to say you should be cold or disconnected, no. It means your power lies in how you respond when things feel uncertain, when she's distant, or when she's testing you. Because she will test you. Those tests aren't always conscious. Sometimes she doesn't even realize she's doing it, but deep down, she's trying to feel something, your strength. Not physical strength, emotional strength. That's why a man who can remain calm, centered, and unmoved in the face of confusion or chaos, that man is incredibly magnetic. He becomes a rock in her emotional storm. While most guys react, overthink, spiral, or confront, this man simply breathes. He doesn't chase closure. He doesn't beg for clarity. He doesn't need emotional validation to stay grounded. When a woman sees that you're not flinching under pressure, when you don't let your emotions dictate your choices, she starts to feel safe with you, but more importantly, she starts to respect you. Because your ability to regulate your emotions tells her you're not a boy, you're a man, a leader, someone who can handle life and not fall apart when things get tough. Most men don't fail because they're too emotional. They fail because they let those emotions run wild. They text when they should wait. They chase when they should observe. They explode when they should stay silent. But emotional control isn't suppression, it's direction. You channel it, you master it, you lead with it, not from it. And in that calm energy, you send a silent message. You can't shake me. That message is powerful. It makes you different. It creates mystery. It makes her trust you, because if you can stay composed when things feel uncertain between the two of you, she knows you can handle things far beyond the relationship. That's when she stops testing and starts submitting, not out of fear, but out of deep earned respect. Control your emotions and you'll control the outcome. Pause for a moment and really think about this. When a woman looks at you, does she see a man with a mission or a man looking for one? That question alone separates the men women respect from the ones they forget. Because the truth is, women don't admire men who make them the center of their lives. They admire men who already have something bigger. A vision, a goal, a fire that's burning long before she ever entered the picture. Purpose. That's the magnetic force most men overlook. When a man is fully immersed in becoming the best version of himself, whether it's through his work, his body, his discipline, or his spiritual growth, he becomes naturally attractive, not because he's trying to impress her, but because he's moving, he's building, he's leading himself. Now let me be clear, it's not about ignoring her, it's about not abandoning yourself. Too many men meet a woman and suddenly everything they were working on fades into the background. The gym sessions get skipped, the goals get delayed, the ambition gets softened. And in that moment, the polarity shifts. She starts to lead and you start to follow. But the man who continues to chase his purpose above pleasure, he doesn't change his rhythm to match hers. She has to match his. He doesn't cancel his mission for love. He knows his mission is love, because it represents everything he's committed to building and protecting. And that energy is intoxicating. Why? Because women crave strength, direction, and certainty, and nothing shows those qualities more than a man who wakes up with a reason beyond impressing someone else. He has standards, he has momentum. He's not available 24/7, not because he's playing games, but because his time is sacred. His path is demanding. And guess what? That creates space for her to chase you. She starts wondering what you're building, why you're so focused, why you don't need her to feel whole. And the more she wonders, the more her respect for you grows. A man with purpose is rare. He doesn't try to be special. He just is, by doing what most won't. And women feel that in his presence, in his absence, in his silence. Keep chasing purpose and watch how many start chasing you. Let me ask you something that most people won't. What if being too available is exactly what's pushing her away? Think about it. We live in a world where everyone wants instant answers, constant access, immediate attention. But men who offer too much of themselves too soon, emotionally, physically, even digitally, become easy to figure out. And when a woman figures you out too quickly, the mystery dies, and with it, her curiosity, and then her respect. The kind of man women deeply admire isn't always the loudest in the room. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't constantly update her on what he's doing. He doesn't reveal everything right away. And no, he's not playing games. He's just grounded in himself. He keeps some things to himself, not because he's hiding, but because he doesn't feel the need to constantly prove or explain who he is. This detachment I'm talking about isn't coldness, it's emotional independence. It's the ability to enjoy her presence but not need it, to appreciate connection without clinging to it. It's in how he responds when she pulls away, or how he stays calm when she doesn't text back for hours. He doesn't panic. He doesn't double text. He doesn't spiral. That silence, that space he creates, it's not a punishment, it's a boundary. And it's powerful. Because when a woman senses that you're not easily moved, that you won't rush to fill the silence, that you're okay in your own world, she doesn't get bored, she gets intrigued. She starts wondering what's on your mind, why you're not chasing her like the others, what makes you different. And that curiosity becomes the gateway to deeper respect. Most men think they lose women because they weren't nice enough or didn't say the right things. But often it's because they gave too much, too fast. They flooded her with energy, attention, presence, without allowing space for her to want it. The man who remains slightly out of reach, not because he's avoiding her, but because he's centered, creates tension. And that tension builds attraction. He's not mysterious because he's pretending. He's mysterious because he's busy living. And that's the difference. You don't need to speak less or act distant just to appear interesting. You need to actually be a man who values his space, his mind, his energy so much that he doesn't give it away without thought. When you do that, she starts to lean in, not because you demanded her attention, but because your energy made her want to understand you. Be the man she can't quite figure out, and you'll be the man she never forgets. Let me say something that might go against everything you've been told. You don't need to be aggressive or dominant to be respected by a woman. You don't have to raise your voice, show off, or constantly assert yourself to prove you're a man. Real respect doesn't come from loud behavior. It comes from quiet certainty, from presence, from a man who knows exactly what he stands for and never has to shout it. The men women admire the most have a calm intensity about them. They're not soft pushovers, but they're not emotionally reckless either. They don't bark orders or explode when things don't go their way. They simply move differently. There's something solid about them. They're the type you notice when they walk into a room, not because they demand attention, but because their energy commands it. What makes that kind of man stand out is his standards, not just for others, but for himself. He holds himself to a certain level, and that standard shapes every decision he makes. The way he talks, the way he listens, the way he moves through life. He doesn't chase respect, he embodies it, and because of that, people respond to him in kind, especially women. Now here's the part most men don't understand. This man also has a soft presence. He's not emotionally detached or robotic. He feels things deeply, but he doesn't let emotions control him. He can be warm, kind, and even vulnerable, but only with those who earn that side of him. His softness is a gift, not a default. It's something sacred, and women instinctively know it. That balance of firm standards and soft presence is rare, and rare is valuable. When a woman sees that you're not easily swayed, but you're not cold, that you can lead but you don't overpower, that you can listen without losing yourself, she respects you differently. You don't just feel like a man, you feel like a man with depth. Most men either try too hard to be dominant or shrink back to be nice, but neither earns real respect. The man who commands respect is the one who knows he doesn't have to fight for it. He shows it through his posture, his tone, his choices. He speaks less, but when he does, people listen. He walks away when disrespected, but with grace, not ego. And in relationships, that kind of presence keeps a woman both grounded and magnetically drawn in. Be that man. Quiet. Solid. Unmoved. Kind, but not naive. Strong, but not harsh. That's the kind of man women not only desire, but deeply respect.